Gentlemen, and probably a lady, welcome back to the mess, which is my desk. And apologies, that probably tapped out really well on the microphone. Today, we have a new package. Now, it's a box, and unfortunately, it's not the mini quadcopter frame I was expecting. Good job, Matt printed one out on the 3D printer yesterday. And happy days, you'll see that flying around in a couple of days' time. And by the way, that wasn't me making a rude noise. That was my gel pad thingy on my from my desk. Honest. Right, let's open her up and see what we got. Oh, it's definitely a box. Definitely looks like a Banggood. Ah, brilliant! Brilliant! Let me chuck that underneath there. Open this up. Aha, suddenly this has turned into a proper unboxing video. So this is an Eachine VR-007 FPV goggle set. Now, right from the beginning, I bought this out of my own money, and I'm also very freely going to admit I bought the wrong one. Okay, straight off the bat, I bought the wrong one. The reason why I know I bought the wrong one is because 2 days later, Banggood had a sale on, and they've got the VR-008, and also there's a 009 or something as well. I'll put the links to the alternatives underneath this video description for you. And the reason why I'm suggesting that you go for the other ones is because the screen size is twice the size. Now, I bought these for sharing the FPV experience up at the model clubs, because some of the older gentlemen there have never flown FPV before, and it's an experience which I wanted to share. Now, to be honest, I don't really want to be sharing my Fat Sharks. They were like 250 quid plus the board in it, so you're talking 300 quid just for that one little headset unit. And I don't really want to be sharing them around. This is why I bought this super cheap set for about, I think, 35 quid, something like this. And it also means that I can give it to the kids as well. Or if the wife wants to get involved, I can give her this set. In fact, I would feel really comfortable just throwing this set at the wife, which you probably shouldn't do. And you probably shouldn't throw it at the kids either. But my point being is, because it was so cheap compared to the Fat Sharks, I genuinely don't care about it. So let's do an unboxing. And as we all know, my unboxings are not very graceful. And there we go, and empty box. Right, what have we got in the packet? Let's go for that first. Let's open her up and see what we got in here. What have we got? A bag! Well, hey, we've got some wipes, 1 and 2 wipes, really exciting. We've got a little battery pack, which, yeah, feels lighter than the, the Fat Sharks. And, oh yeah, I remember seeing this in another review, that when you put them in, it's because of these wedge sides on there, is that will hold it in much more nicely. Now, do we have any charge in this battery? Let me turn this around for the screen for you. Yes, yes we do. And can you also see that all right? Let me move that around a little bit better for you. So, yeah, we've got some charge in there. Apparently it's on full power. Happy days. We've got a USB lead. So do we charge this using USB? It says output 7.4, input 5 volts 1 amp. Okay, so it looks like we can charge this using a USB lead. Really nice thought, because it is a pain in the rear trying to charge up stuff, especially the Fat Shark ones. With having to go and swap all the leads around and stuff. If I can just charge it off a USB socket, and by the way, you would want to use one of those powered USB hubs. They're cheap as chip, and my one I bought off Amazon for 6-7 quid, something like that. So yeah, that is a really, really nice touch, being able to charge it using USB, using a USB lead rather than the normal chargers. So I presume we just plug that in. Yeah, nice tight fit, and hey, I'll tell you what. Let's just see if that charges. And that does mean in this battery pack, we are actually using, there must be a buck converter. So we're bumping up the voltage from the 5 volts out of the USB lead up to probably around about 8 volts to charge the the 2 LiPo cells which are in there. So I've just popped that on charge. We've got a crappy antenna. Now, to be honest, everybody says these are pants, but this is a cheapo set. And even with my Fat Sharks, I had to go and buy separate cloverleaf aerials, which I then added another 12 quid on top of the order. And they, to be honest, they work alright. Everybody raves about the cloverleafs, and yes, you get more distance with them. But for a cheapo set, cheaper aerial's going to be fine. And maybe if I'm using them, then we'll give it a whirl. We'll swap it over to a cloverleaf. Right, okay, just from the off, okay, this connector on here is an RP SMA, and we know it's an RP or reverse polarity connector because we've got a pin in it rather than a hole. So in there, yes, they did give us the right connector, and then that will screw in on there. Now, not bad. So first impressions, nicely built. There aren't any scuffs, he says. There's a bit of white plastic scuff on there. Not the end of the world. Screen size. Yeah, like I said, the screen size on the other models is bigger, but I'm sat here looking at this, and there's a bit of film in here. I suppose we need to get... Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to leave that film in there. It's not the end of the world. But there's hardly any weight to this. Where's my scales? My scales are here somewhere. Move that there. They're lighter. They definitely feel lighter than my Fat Sharks. So without the battery, they are 266 grams, which from some of the stories which I've seen and heard on YouTube, that's not heavy at all. And even with the battery, we're only talking 329 grams. So not a lot at all. So let's go and stick this battery in. I presume sits. Yeah, there we go. Sorry, I'm doing this off camera. My bad. Let me just pop that there. We tuck the camera battery in there, and that's why the funny design of the battery now makes sense. Means it won't just slip through. So that's a neat idea. Let's plug her in. Which we're on. Oh, look at the... Sorry, I'm going to have to stick these on my noggin because... Alright, I take that all back. I'm here looking at some snow. But that screen is monstrous. Did I get this wrong? Where's the box? Sorry, I love the box. They said it was only like a 428 by Summit screen. Have I made a mistake? And ordered... or got disappointed about this for a reason? By the way... Sorry, I'm going off topic very quickly. Let me just share the experience with you. Let me put a Sharpie pen in here as perspective. Okay. Can you see the size of that screen? Compared to the Fat Sharks, that screen is monstrous. 35 quid I paid for these. What a bargain. That is very cool. I tell you what, I don't like that nose piece already. That bit of plastic there is really digging in on my nose. So I will get a bit of foam stuff and bend over there. But nice tight fit on here. Yeah. 35 quid. Flipping heck. Bargain. We got one button on the top, which I got no idea it does. There's some buttons on the side, which do brightness. I presume up and down. I really don't know. I probably need to read the manual. But what size of it? What are the dimensions on here? Yeah, it's saying screen resolution 480 by 272. But looking at this, compared to the Fat Sharks, wow, that's going from a PC screen to go into the cinema. In comparison, it's absolutely monstrous compared to my Fat Sharks. That's really, really cool. Yeah, I'm going to be flying some FPV later because that is amazeballs. That is amazeballs. In fact, I wonder... Sorry, there's lots of me saying in fact lots of times, but I am genuinely impressed with these. And remember, I did buy these out of my own pocket, so let me go and plug this one in, and you've seen how much I've read that antenna, which the book, and it wasn't a lot. So I'm going to just press the button on the top. I'm sure it's got an auto... Oh! Hey, look at that! That's brilliant! Sorry, I'm having first dibs. Yeah, that's really, really nice. Where's my hands? Yeah, that is really cool. Let me just share that with you. Look at this. Again, let me just put the camera here a sec. Look at the size of the screen in there. And I've got no idea if you can see that all right. I can kind of see it on the back. But that is one monstrous screen. I can, if I look closely, I can see the... And I mean, if I look really, really closely, I can see the pixels on the screen. But that's me focusing really hard. If I was flying, you would never, ever notice that at all. So, 35 quid. I'm super chuffed. And that looks tough as old boots. Brilliant! Yeah, if you're thinking of getting some of these goggles, these are the, what is it, VR-007. The image quality is really good. I am genuinely surprised how things have progressed. And don't forget, I've got the Fat Shark Dominator V3s, and they're really good. But these may become my new go-to glasses. I think they're pretty cool. But... Right, time for us to wrap up because, sorry, I can talk all day. So I will put the links to the bigger screen version, and these are much smaller than the other versions which I've seen. They're normally much bigger on the side, so you know the big EPO foam ones. There's hardly any weight to it, and frankly, I'm flabbergasted for 35, 36 quid, whatever I paid for them, that I've got that size screen and that quality image compared to my Fat Sharks, which were, like I said, 250 quid plus the receiver board plus the antennas. Yeah, you're talking 300 quid there, easy. Yeah, happy days. And to be honest, the only negative I can say is that bit there was pinching my nose, and it is a bit rough there, and nothing which a little piece of foam wouldn't sort out. And the foam which I'm thinking is that, you know, this packaging foam which we get with motors and stuff like that, a little bit of that super glued, or maybe a bit of Velcro, the sticky back Velcro in there would be fine. But I am super impressed with those. So yeah, I need to go and take that little mini quadcopter out for a damn good ragging. Seeing as I got the new frame on there, and happy days. Brilliant, super impressed. Yay! Really cool. Anyway, sorry, like I said, it's time for us to go. As always, any feedback on any of the items which have turned up here on my desk, please let me know in the comments section underneath this video. I'd really, really like to hear from you. So with that said, for myself, Matt, cheerios! Howdy, it's Matt again. Now, I'm adding this little extra insert while I'm editing this video, and it's now a week later since these goggles turned up. And remember, I bought these out of my own money. And one of the acid tests, which I like to personally run, which is that if I broke this, would I go and buy another one the same day? And the answer is, in short, yeah, I would. I know that the screen resolution is not as good as some of the others. And I'll put some links to some other ones. Yes, they do cost more, etc., in the video description for you. But ultimately, I've literally just left these in my box. The guys up at the flight line, for example, last night when I was up there flying the Texuma, I was going like, Pete, I've got a new set of goggles in the box. And he said, oh, where do they work? Well, just stuff the lead in. I just left him to do it because I knew I had the antenna plugged in on the top. And yeah, he as I was going up, I could hear him running back into the box and grabbing these goggles out of the box. And that's the thing. For 36 quid or so, they're absolutely brilliant. Now, to give you a heads up, I didn't actually go on and put that bit of foam in there because the more you end up wearing it, you just pull that strap tighter on the top and you don't even notice it. The USB charging on the battery is an inspired idea. A replacement or an additional battery is only about 10 quid as well, or you could make up your own. If you've watched another video, I'll put a little linky in the top right hand corner to use in some of these little boards so that you can put the LED indicator on them and maybe use a little cheapo 2S battery if that floats you, if you want to do a little DIY kit. But that said, yeah, if these broke today, I would go and buy a replacement set today. They are absolutely brilliant. I've literally just thrown them at the wife. I've thrown them at the kids. In fact, I was flying the mini quadcopter out front and the kids were squabbling over the goggles. And I mean this in a nice way. I genuinely didn't care because these things are tough as old boots. It's a really, really good case on there. The little button on the top, when you turn them on, you just press the button down for 3 seconds. It auto searches and always finds the right channel. Yeah, they are really, really good. Now, on the screen resolution, they've all got, the other ones which I'll put links to, they've all got the 5-inch screen inside. It's down to the resolution. And to be honest, when you're flying in the air with it, you just don't notice it. You don't notice the difference that you can, for sure, see the little squares of the pixels. Okay, if you stare hard enough at it, you'll be able to see them. But the second you've got something like a quadcopter or an aeroplane in the air, you don't care because you care about where you're flying and you just don't see it at all. So 36, 38 quid, whatever they cost now, super value, and I really, really do like them. They are really, really good. So that's my honest review on them. And remember, my acid test is I paid for this out of my own money. If I broke them for whatever reason, would I buy another pair? And the short answer is yes, I would. So I don't know if that helps you, but ultimately, they're great. And I've been just storing them in the box, chucking them in my main box. The kids have been using, the wife's come around, add them on while I've been running around with the quadcopter around the house. The guys up at the flight line, I've just been given, just plug that in, and they've just kind of worked it out themselves. They're super, super easy to use. So I am most impressed with those. So with that said, it's time for us to go. Thank you ever so much for watching. If you've been using a different headset, please do let me know in the comments section underneath this video because I keep comparing them to, and I've just hit the microphone, apologies. And I keep comparing these to the Fat Sharks, and that was 300 quid, that was 38 quid. Those are amazeballs. Yes, it doesn't have a fan in them. Yes, it doesn't do DVR recording. But for 38 quid, absolutely amazeballs. So I genuinely hope that helps you. If you've got any questions about these, please just ask because I am super impressed with them. And of course, you can just ask in the comments section underneath this video. So time for me to go. With that said, from myself, Matt, cheerios.